Microsoft and Asobo have released their biggest sim update yet. Sim Update 2 has now entered its beta and is available for everyone to download. Should you beta or not to beta, I believe is the question. We have the latest when it comes to the updates regarding Sim Update 2, as well as all of this week's biggest announcements and release news for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's jump straight into the video. All the Sim Update 2 news is towards the last third of the video. I've placed a timestamp if you want to miss this week's thrilling previews, announcements, and release news. That's okay. I won't really take offense if you want to skip to the last part of the video. I'll just shed a little quiet tear in the background. But you just go right ahead and skip to the Sim Update. Just joking, feel free to do whatever you want to do, and thank you very much to everyone for clicking on the video. Kicking off this week's previews and announcements, Aerosoft's long-awaited CRJ version 2 update for Microsoft Flight Simulator has been delayed. Originally, it was set to release on March the 25th and now has been pushed back to next week and scheduled for a release on April the 1st. Hopefully that's not an April Fool's joke. The reason for the suspected delay is based on feedback of many content creators who've been previewing and streaming the CRJ version 2 over the past week, and it wasn't up to scratch is the feedback they passed on. So the team has decided to delay the release to work on some of the bugs until they have a more stable release. The CRJ version 2's major expected highlights once it releases are a fully overhauled cabin, updated flight model, full navigation chart integration into the EFB, a bunch of bug fixes and optimization, compatibility with 2020 and 2024, Xbox support and compatibility, and if you have already purchased the CRJ in the past, doesn't matter what version, as there's obviously different versions of the aircraft, you will receive the upgrade to version 2 at no extra charge. The CSS team updated the community on its progress for the Boeing 737-500 Classic project. Last time we heard from the team is that the 737 Classic should be releasing soon. In a message sent out by the team this week is that all the external modeling is nearly finalized, all the major systems are now complete, and the project is undergoing internal testing. The EFB is in development and is one of the focuses, as well as other features such as Navigraph integration, weather terrain radar, working wipers, and other custom tools. CSS confirmed that the first release of the 737-500 will be a PAXed version of the aircraft, and it will feature a IRS-based navigation system using the FMS version 5, and it will include a LNAV and VNAV auto land capabilities. The team plans to release a whole family of the classic 737 series, which will include the 300 and the 400 as well as all freighter variants for all those versions are in development and will be included at no extra cost as part of the base package, but they may come down the line later. When the CSS team releases, you'll be able to purchase your copy of the 737 Classic for $120, I think it's USD, for a lifetime, of $50 per year or $5 for 30 days. It will be interesting to see how the community does a plan to purchase with this type of model and see how it's actually received in the community, and will other developers do the same thing. The PMDG 777 has entered beta testing for the 777-300ER, the 777-200ER, and the Freighter 777 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Robert, the CEO of PMDG, said the 2024 project wasn't just a few tweaks here and there. The 777 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 has been a full-scale rebuild to align with the still evolving SDK of the new sim. Since the team has had the opportunity to overhaul the entire 777 platform for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the team has included 100 of minor tweaks and bug fixes, and also improvement to the flight dynamics and also the sound environment. There's no date when we'll see a revamp of the 777 in our sims, but Robert has mentioned we will see a re-release of the 2020 version at no extra cost, as well as the 2024 release. Moza, which last year released their force feedback flight stick now has announced and released their Y210 force feedback yoke base and their MFY yoke. The yoke includes force feedback up to 210 newtons and a push of 9 newtons of torque. It's made from high-grade aluminium or aluminum, depending on what part of the world you're from, and has a travel up to 150 millimeters, which is very similar and in the range to many real-world GA aircraft. The yoke is expected to have a flexible mounting options to secure it to many different types of desks or cockpit styles. The base will also include a bunch of different switches. It will have a landing gear and also a quick release mechanism for the yoke handle, which is a separate product and it is designed to release from the base. The yoke itself is also made from high-grade materials, and other features are included is multifunction triggers, a bunch of RGB lighting, 34 configuration inputs, multi-function, and it has been inspired by a real-world commercial aircraft yoke. You can check out more about Moza's new flight sim range over on their website. I'll leave a link in the description below. The Phoenix simulation team has announced about their 2025 lineup, including an announcement about the A320neo family. The team is currently building the A320neo and the A321neo for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Both of these aircraft are being built from the ground up, and the team has completely rewired the entire airplane. Every single sensor, valve, generator, pump, switch button has been built into the Neo as standard. Phoenix Simulation says this is definitely not a reskin of the A320ceo. Both the LEAP and the GTF engines will be fully modeled, and the team plans to release the Neo family later on in the year. Phoenix Simulations also mentioned for simmers that both have purchased the Neo and the CFM packages will be entitled to a free modernization of the CEO A320. Phoenix Simulation also said in the next weeks we'll see an update to the current A320 family, which is been nicknamed BFU, which stands for the Big Phoenix Update. Some of the highlights we will see is the A319 will include Sharklet's update to the EFB, be Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 official compatibility, as it's obviously in a sort of experimental mode at the moment. The walk around mode will be supported. It will have an updated soundscapes, updated stick deflection, which has also included a video about that this week, and I will leave a link in the description where you could read more about the full Phoenix blog in more detail that the team talked about the Neo announcement and also the BFU release. Moving over to this week's release news announced recently on the FS weekend, WinWing have released their Boeing Autopilot 3 panel, as well as conducted pre-orders for their mag switch and also their PAT3 bundle pre-order that includes the autopilot and the mag switch together. The Boeing Autopilot is a full one-to-one reconstruction of the real thing with a built-in native glare shield to ensure real-world operating hand positions, so you can turn those switches leaning on the glare shield just like a real Boeing captain. Authentic same coloring display and is compatible with many other wide body aircraft. Includes a realistic disengage switch, also an option to add the auto throttle mag switch at a later stage. So if you don't want to wait for the pre-order and you want to just pick up the standard one, you can do that and add the mag switch at a later date, or wait and actually get that bought in a bundle. Also has realistic light sensors with auto dimming, 17 push button switches, 5 rotary knobs which do 360 degrees with the additional 5 rotary knobs behind them that will do up to 120 degrees. Also has a rotary encoder wheel. Also includes 2 detent toggle switches. Currently works with the entire PMDG 737 fleet over on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and with the up and coming support of the iFly 737 and the PMDG 777 and plans for all the 2024 aircraft when it comes to Boeing's in that sim as well, but currently only on 2020. You can place your order for the WinWing Boeing autopilot at the WinWing store. I would recommend doing it straight away if you're considering picking it up, as new releases when it comes to WinWing, such as they recently did with their MCDU and PFP panels, there appears to be long waiting times. I'll leave a link in the description up below and you can check it out. Carenado have released their Cessna 182Q Skylane for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. The Skylane is a 4-seat high-performance single-engine aircraft equipped with a fixed landing gear, and it has a 230 horsepower engine. Similar to the 182 that they released last year, but this one is a more traditional feel with a 6-pack. Features include 8 liveries, also has a GNS 530 and 430 option. Also, it does have integration for the GTN 750, 650 from the PMS 50, and also integration for the the GTN, I should say, 750 and 650X from TDS Sims. Also includes a dual fuel calculator. Not really sure what that means. Originally HQ digital stereo sounds, tested by several pilots for maximum accuracy, and also includes a tablet interface so you can switch your different preferences, such as your GSN systems and GTN systems. Built from the ground up to work with the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 SDK, and you can pick up your copy of the Carenado 182Q Skylane from the InSim Marketplace store for 2024 for both PC and Xbox. Captain Sim. Interesting. They've strayed away from its normal type of aircraft with warbirds with the, if I say this correctly, I think it's the Heinkel H1. The Heinkel H1 was originally developed in the 1930s as a civil passenger aircraft and really was disguised for its military purposes. It was quickly adapted to a bomber, and the H1 went on to play crucial roles as part of the invasion of Poland and the Battle of Britain in the 1940s. Captain Sim's version of the H1 comes with high detail exterior, as we know for Captain Sim to do, 8K textures, toggable wheel chocks, tie downs, a deployable antenna. Does say it includes weapons, cargo boxes, barrels, and toolboxes. Also has an authentic cockpit and instrument layout, immersive control clipboard, autopilot system, which I believe just does altitude and heading. Also has fuel pumps and fuel transfer. You can pick up your copy of the HE111 from Captain Sim through the Captain Sim store. I'll leave a link in the description below. Echo 19 Audio has released their latest sound enhancement, which is for the P51 Mustang. This latest package is compatible for both Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024. The sound package was originally planned to work with the Aeroplane Heaven P51 Delta, but also works with the Reno P51 expansion pack and also the P51 default, which is included with the 2024 sim. Echo 19 mentions you can hear with their latest release is the gunpoint whistle during high-speed flybys. New acoustic environment sounds now respond to the pilot's movements and camera angles. Also, you'll hear things like engine backfires, rich mixture effects, and more. In addition to the audio release, it also comes with 2 new custom liveries. The P51 sound pack from Echo 19 is available from the Echo 19 store for both the 2020 and 2024 sims. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, if you chose your own adventure at the start of the video, welcome to the Sim Update News. And if you're still here from the releases and announcements, thank you very much for sticking around. That being said, lining up on the runway for this week's Sim Update News. This week, the Microsoft team began their public test for Sim Update 2. Originally, it was expected to release last week around the 20th of March. However, the Microsoft team said it wasn't ready and needed a few more days before they could start the beta. Sim Update 2 for 2024 would have to be one of the largest updates we have seen and one of the biggest ones we have seen from the team to date. And since the release of this version of the beta, version 1.4.7.0, many simmers with all betas are experiencing reduced stability and performance, along with, this is something that we really haven't seen in recent times, a wiping of settings, including graphics, controls, and many third-party aircraft have been broken, which is probably to be expected when you see the size of the changelog. It is absolutely massive. So far, Sim Update 2 has a massive lineup, and we generally go through all the highlights in these types of videos. However, there is way too many additions in this update, so we'll just go through the highest of highlights, if that's the thing, and skim through the log, and including anything that is a big standout, such as improved loading times for packages with lots of individual files have been improved, fixes to crashes when suspending the sim on Xbox, fixes to crashes which could occur when creating a flight plan, added footsteps when walking in avatar mode. That's funny, I'm in Sim Update 1 and I can hear footsteps, so I'm not sure which that one is about. General VR fixes, such as fixes to the toolbar appearance when going in and out of VR, fixes to some of the 3D UI that was appearing in front of the panels in VR. That one was a big one that was affecting my sim. That being said, there is many other VR fixes, so if you are a VR enthusiast, you will really enjoy some of the updates that have been placed in this build. Other additions to the update is fixes to the log entries list sorting incorrectly, increase screen exposure under heavy cloud cover, fixes to larger nameplates when you zoom in, general airport fixes, fixes to the grey haze at nighttime in very dark environments, props, turbines, and rotors now move on first-party aircraft in multiplayer. The general bug fix list is massive, and I'm sure I've missed a bunch of good ones, and there's many in there I don't even understand what the fixes mean. But moving on, we've seen a bunch of backwards compatible bug fixes, a massive amount of general bug fixes for aircraft. In addition, we've seen aircraft fixes to many of the default aircraft, including the Air Tractor, the H125 heli, the Skyship 600, the Boeing 737 MAX has seen a massive amount of updates. The Super Hornet, the Cessna 172, the Cessna 162 G1000, the Cessna 208, the X-Cub, the de Havilland, the DG101E, the DAE Diamond 62, the Extra 330 LT, the Cabri G2, the ES30, hot air balloon, and also the Fly Do hot air balloon. A bunch of updates also have been added to the core aircraft systems, a bunch of fixes to the wear and tear system, fuel systems, pneumatic systems, flight systems, physics, the G1000, and the GNS suite. And by the time I got to this point, and summarizing some of the updates, I was really only a third of the way through the changelog. That's how massive it is, and I really only skimmed over it. But in addition to what I've just mentioned before, if you are a VR simmer, there is many updates to VR which has improved the experience dramatically, and from the looks of it, they have even added fixed foveated rendering, which should make a big improvement to your VR experience, as the sim now doesn't need to render everything you see in your headset as a default selected resolution. If you haven't heard of this feature before, it should be a great improvement to your VR simming. If you are super interested in the changelog and all things come with Sim Update 2, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out the full changelog and check out to see which bug which was affecting your sim has been addressed with Sim Update 2. With a massive update like this, we're bound to expect to see and hear some issues when it comes to receiving feedback from the community, and this is what we have thus far. So a big thank you to everyone who's brave enough to be the guinea pigs for Sim Update 2, but myself, I might wait a couple of weeks before the road has been paved by all you guys in Sim Update 2. So thank you very much for doing that. If Microsoft and Sobo do what they did with Sim Update 1, we should expect to see weekly updates and test builds being rolled out. This week, we haven't received a feedback or wish list update. I wouldn't expect to see any updates here until the Microsoft team know what's going on, what's going to be finalized, included with Sim Update 2, and what's going to be pushed back to Sim Update 3. Moving on to the backlog list, which only includes backlogs for 2020 products, and it's holding steady at 213. Feel free to hit the pause button if you wish to take a look, but at this stage, there is no 2024 backlog list that has been produced. The in-sim marketplace for the 2020 sim has received 72 new products this week. 36 of those have been on PC and 36 of those are on Xbox. There is 3 aircraft releases, including the TAC Flight 58D, the Flying Fries BK160TR, and the Toes Hanger Llama SA315. Over on the 2024 in-sim marketplace releases, we saw 44 new products. 22 of these are available on PC and 22 on Xbox. Over here, we've seen 4 new aircraft, which is the A10C Thunderbolt, the MiG-44, and the OH-6 helicopter, and the Tiger. The interesting thing, what they have done with the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 marketplace is that the thumbnail is not the same as it is in 2020. It doesn't really show who the developer is until you've actually clicked the thumbnail, which in my opinion is not very transparent, resulting in when you're shopping, you need to click on the thumbnail to see who's developed that product. Sometimes you can't even tell the difference if you're looking at a night lighting pack or an airport, or the difference between an aircraft release or a livery pack until you move your mouse over it or click the thumbnail. I actually feel this is a little bit deceiving from Microsoft's standpoint, and I think they should fix it as soon as possible. That being said, I would hate to end on a low note, and if you've gotten to the end of this video, thank you so much. It's been a long one. If you could sum up in one word and one comment how you feel about Flight Sim at the moment, I would love to read them in the comments below. We would also be very grateful if you're able to subscribe to the channel, as we are super close to hitting the 100,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, and would love to get there with your help. So please hit that subscribe button and join with the other 99,000 simmers that have helped us out so far. And if you missed the other video we released this week about some hardware, I'll leave a card at the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.